Chairman, at this time, it's my pleasure to yield 3 minutes to the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Herrera Butler.
Gentlewoman's recognized.
Thank you. And I rise today in support of the Regulatory Accountability Act. It's funny to me to sit here and listen to claims that the sky is going to fall if we just bring some common sense into how our federal agencies promulgate rules. I mean, it's kind of, I want to ask, really? Let me show you something. What I have in my hand is the Federal Register. It's not the Federal Register for the year or for a number of months. This is the Federal Register and the rules that have been promulgated just for this first week of January. Just a week. See, this first one here is for January 2nd. It's a little slim, but you know, they just had gotten back in the office. This second one right here, this is for January 6th, so I think they're making up for it. This is just for the rest of the week. And believe it or not, that's actually a small stack compared to what happens when the juices really get flowing. Now, here's the challenge with this stack. My challenge is, say I have a small business, and I do actually. There's several small businesses in Lewis County, for example. It's a small area compared to the state of Washington. They've got a lot of rural folks who work very hard, whether it's farms or family-owned businesses that they've been passing down. Now, they're responsible to know, that small business in Centralia or Chehalis, they're responsible to know what's in this, and the ones that come every single day after it for the entire year. Mr. Speaker, we're not talking about big corporations with legal departments and government affairs folks who are hired to comb through this. We're talking about mom and pop shops. We're talking about 50 people or less. They have to dedicate a whole employee to knowing what's in here, or they could be in violation of a federal rule. I've heard it said that you're more likely, 400 times more likely, to come into contravention or violation of a federal rule than a federal law. So actually, it doesn't just apply to small businesses. It applies to all of us. We better know what's in here. Or time out, we could just create a little bit of space for some common sense. And that's exactly what this bill does. This bill says, hey, federal agencies, you just have to take a few extra things into account, like the impacts on the economy, like the impacts to the cost of for taxpayers. Do you know we're talking about $1.86 trillion on the U.S. economy every year? That's about $15,000 per every American household. That's real money. 15 grand is a lot of money. That could provide a family of 4 in Castle Rock with groceries for 62 weeks. Mr. Speaker, we're not trying to bring down the federal bureaucracy, although some would appreciate it if we did. We're simply trying to bring some common sense into how they operate. Look, the Regulatory Accountability Act delivers the reform that will make lives better for hardworking Americans, and hopefully it will help them begin to recover a little bit of that $15,000 they're spending on unnecessary regulations. We can do this, Mr. Speaker.
Additional minute to the gentleman from Washington.
I thank the gentleman, and I would like to just...
One more minute.
Thank you. I believe this is what people need to understand. The bill is very simple. It leaves intact and supports consumer protections, reasonable environmental impacts. It doesn't jeopardize the health of our kids. Come on. Let's use some common sense. It simply makes it easier for that family of 4. It really does try and connect the federal regulations with real lives of real Americans, and that's why this act is so important. That's why it's bipartisan, Mr. Speaker. This isn't some extreme idea. This is something that brings good government to the people. We're trying to serve the people, not be their masters, and I think this bill does just that. So with that, I yield back the balance of my time. I thank the Speaker.